So we're gonna be working on the head today. I'm gonna be using a quad draw technique for the face. What I'm gonna be emphasizing is gonna be proper face looping around areas like the eyes, the nose, the lips, and then we're gonna essentially do a lot of planar extrusions going around the back of the head. It's gonna be very much like just a framework of faces, but within that framework, we're going to be able to fill in our the rest of the head. The hair itself will be a completely separate piece. It will be a hair cap, so it'll be a separate piece that just fits right on top of his head. The eyeballs will be separate. He will have teeth. I understand Bob's Burgers characters apparently do not have teeth, but Gene is going to get a set of dentures today. He's also going to have gums, and he's going to have a tongue. So we're going to make sure we have all of that. For the eyes and the mouth, we will also be putting in a mouth sac. So we have something to put the teeth and the eyeballs into. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and drop over into my front view. And I'm going to go over to Mesh Tools, Quad Draw. And let's go ahead and turn Symmetry on. And I'm going to go ahead and start dropping in points. Now this tool is really pretty simple to use. Basically you drop in at least 4 points, hold Shift, and you can drop a face right in there, okay? You can also move the edges or the vertexes around wherever you want. If we hold Control, we can drop in an edge loop right here. And if we do, you have a question?
How did you get it to just draw on there again?
I activate. I had this selected, the body selected, and then I just went over to Mesh Tools, Quad Draw. If you do go a little bit too far away, it's not going to want to start drawing. So I do kind of keep it a little bit close to the rest of the body. There seems to be a proximity where this works and doesn't work. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and create a loop right here. I do want to have one really good connected loop around the eyes. This is going to be where the eyelids are. I'll go and snap in vertex is right there. Say what?
That's much more intuitive than I thought it'd be.
It's a pretty good tool. The main use of this tool is for retopolization of pre-existing meshes, but it can be used to create novel meshes as well. So stuff that we don't already have going. And then something that is kind of nice, if you take edges close to each other, see how it kind of like pops in? It'll snap, and those vertexes are automatically snap. And then I'll drop in one right here, move it over. And now we have a completed face loop that I can run extra edges into. This is important because we're going to be building essentially the eyelids from this face loop. So we want to make sure that we have a good clean set of faces that go around the eyes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and kind of draw down to his nose. And I'm not going to fill up the whole face like this. This is going to be kind of basic. I do want to make sure I have a good center line going down the front of the face. And then that's going to go out to the lips. do not connect right here. Leave a little bit of a gap because we need that so we can extrude in for the mouth. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to his chin. And then since he doesn't really have a defined chin, I'm just going to go all the way down to the neckline right here. And then it might get a little hairy right in this area. So I think I might just grab, let's do, all right, I'm gonna call it right there. Should be able to delete them. I'm not sure why it's not letting me, like a control shift usually is what I use to delete, but it's not doing it. Okay, anyway. So this is what we're kind of working with. We can also do going up the forehead a little bit. And I think that'll work for our basic shape. Now what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and turn this over into object mode. I'm gonna go over to my perspective view and it's gonna look really wonky. So the reason why it's doing this is because it doesn't have a live object to snap to, which again, this is what the tool is made for, is to snap to like live objects to retopologize them, to basically redraw their topology. So this is unfortunately kind of expected. So what I can do, go and grab those vertexes, and I'm just going to scale them in so it gets flat, and then I'm going to move it forward to somewhere right about there. And that's the shape that we started off with. So it's, yeah, so it's like a funny looking little mask. Sometimes it kind of looks like Robin's mask a little bit, but you get the idea. So what we'll do next is I'm going to go ahead and, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of that. And then I'm basically going to grab points and pull them forward to where they should be in essentially on the Z space. So here I'm going to start off with, let's see, this point right here. So if I pull that forward, now it's not going to be where his hair is, but if I kind of follow that curve, it's going to be somewhere right about here. So probably right about there. And then I'm going to work my way down to the next one, and then the next one. And as long as your artwork lines up on the front and side, it should be pretty easy. But artwork isn't going to line up. It never does, not 100%. So you'll need to kind of pick which view you want to kind of use as your dominant view. And you'll need to make sure and keep it adjusted for that view. So I kind of already laid this out for his front view. So I'm kind of just bringing this out to where it would match on the side view, but it may be like the tip of the nose here doesn't match up at the same spot of the tip of the nose there. So then you may have to adjust that front back value to kind of fit a little bit better. How was your career fair? Did you get anything useful out of it?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So like right here, you see how the lips aren't really kind of lining up as super well. bring that. Then bring that forward. And then bring that forward. Okay. Then I'll just work my way out to the next set of vertexes. So this won't be exactly in line, but it will be kind of pulled back just a little bit. So kind of create that little curve, that little arc. Honestly, the nose may end up just being better as like an extrusion. So I'm going to pull this back. So while I'm doing this, does anyone have any questions about this process so far? Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so we'll keep going, move out to the next row. That's going to be, say, right about here.
Oh, I do have a question actually.
Okay.
So, my character is wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So, like around the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, would I base the eye shape on the mask? Or like,
Well, your person has a face underneath, right?
yes.
Okay. So, I mean, you'd be modeling, I guess, in a way, kind of like two faces. Because you have the mask and then you have the face for the person underneath it.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. I'll ask
I don't
you.
think it does.
I'll ask you.
Okay. Is the eye shape drastically different from person to mask? Maybe that's a better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it has like the Batman sort of like triangle Robin mask thing.
Oh, right.
But then the eyes are just the way they actually draw the eyes are different. So I was gonna, when I make the mask, just like put like a plane over
Mhm.
where the eyes are because their eyes don't really show in general. Kind of
Mm.
like this white space.
Okay. So, what you could do is build out the face,
Okay.
and then you use this tool, this quad draw tool, to essentially build out that mask on top of the face, so it matches the face's shape. But then you can change the eye shape if you need to.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so we got that. Well, I'm recording this, so please no crying. Want to hear a funny story while I'm doing this?
Sure.
So I did a podcast one time, and it was like the first podcast I'd ever done. And it was I was like kind of excited, and it was like a little bit of like a big deal and everything. I was really happy for it. And my son was probably about 4, maybe 3. And all he knew was Daddy was going to be talking to people with a camera, and he wanted to like be a part of that. And so it was also getting late, and so like specifically we were recording late enough to where it was supposed to be my son's bedtime. And so I'm talking about like this big project I'd worked on. I was really happy about it, and I was showing the people on the podcast, and all you could hear in the background was my son, 4-year-old son, having a cosmic level meltdown. Just screaming as loud as he can. And I'm just sitting here just keeping like the most solemn face ever. And I go, so here's the digital files, here how I did the sculpting. And they're just like staring at me. And they have never asked me to be back on that podcast again.
I'm sorry.
And I was really sad about that.
You could have just emailed them and be like, yo, that was my son.
They know. I told them afterwards. And they're like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. We'll edit it out. They did not edit it out. It was in there the whole time. So, yeah. So that was that. That was my first podcast experience, and it was, yeah, not great. Anyway, so here we go. You got a what?
On a lot of podcasts about tech.
Have you been on podcasts?
Me?
Yeah.
No. My dad has though.
Oh,
And
That's
I
cool.
was old enough to not know. It's great.
yeah. Okay, so here we go. So we have this kind of skeletal outline of the face, but you see kind of where we're going.
Yeah.
We have the lip outline for the mouth. We have the eyes. We're going to have a nose extrusion in a second. That's going to give us a good like a ring for the nose. And then we will extrude this to go back around the back of the head. This will come down into the neck. The back will come down into the neck. And then eventually we'll extrude into the ear and close up the rest of the face. Now, it will look a little weird, but that's okay. That's part of the fun. Hopefully it'll look better than Louise, but no guarantees. Because Louise looks like she belongs in Area 51. Am I wrong? You've seen Louise. No, she's not. All right. So let's go ahead and start doing some extrusions.
It's on the top.
All right. I'm going to hit extrude, and I'm just going to extrude out and just kind of trace the shape of the head. And that's going to go down to the neck. And then this right here. That's going to go down to, and that's going to be what joins into here. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying with before, this kind of frame that we're working with, I'm basically going to be filling in these areas. So I will extrude out kind of like down and forward. This vertex right here, I'll do a little target weld into there. I could do, let's see, I could do this guy over to here. And then I'd like to do a bridge from here to here. I think that would work well. I could do another one for there to there. And then areas where I'm kind of getting some weird topology, I'll kind of pull it around and try to fix it. And then I got a 2 to a 1, so I think I'm going to go and take a multi-cut and cut across. That'll make it really easy. So then I'll have a 2 to a 2, and then bridge across. There we go. What? What?
So evil.
He's he's not evil. He's just an 11-year-old boy.
Some people like those evil.
I mean, of the 3 children, he's like the least evil. Like, Louise will set stuff on fire. Huh? No, I consider Tina more evil than Jean. Jean is delightful. Jean is a treasure. Louise would set people on fire. But the problem with Tina is like she might legitimately commit some illegal activities. On on accident, yes.
My favorite episode is when she was writing all those fun fictions. It's so easy. She just has to step on fell.
All right, so we'll extrude this over. And again, we'll do vertex. Merge the center. And then we'll do this one too, merge to center. And let's go ahead and give him a nose. I feel like I'm kind of looking at an alien. All right, so right here. I have to run an extra edge loop or lower. I'm gonna lower this one down to about here. And right up here. Okay, so that's gonna give me 1, 2, 3 that I can extrude from. I'm kind of thinking like what that nose is going to look like. So like this is, I mean, it's going to be rounded obviously coming out of here. It's going to be rounded on the bottom. Let's bring that up. Go and take that edge right there, bring that down, bring that over, bring that out, bring that over. And then that's going to give us a loop where we can throw a few more edges on to get that kind of bulbousy, almost like light bulby shaped look. It's almost like a little bit like a teardrop look to this thing. Okay, there we go. That's kind of fitting the shape right there. I'll put that back a little bit more. See if we can work with this, get any more round. Throw in another loop right here. Have you ever watched Bob's Burgers? I feel like that is kind of their MO. Pull this one down a little bit more. Pull that one down a little bit more. Give myself a little more room. I'm getting a lot of edges right up here. Okay. Yeah, he's got a schnauzer on there for sure. Now, as far as I know, they don't have any nostrils drawn in characters in the show. So I'm not going to worry about nostrils. If your character style does have nostrils, then you get the honor of putting nostrils in your character. So congratulations. Now, if you put nostrils in the character, or in your character, what I would do is do a little extrusion, kind of bring it in, and then bring it up, over, and then kind of, honestly, sometimes what I'll do is I'll make like a little like half circle, and I'll have a tube that kind of goes up into the head, but then it connects both the nostrils together. That way you can see the nostril go far enough up into the head to where it kind of disappears, but then you can deal with the topology and just kind of run it back out the other nostril. Just a thought. Okay, I need a little bit more curvature on here, but I don't really want to run any extra edges on here, on the across the face. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put in a extrusion. Shrink that extrusion, bring this out, and that'll give me another face loop that I can work with. To get a little bit more shaping out of there without sacrificing extra edge loops around the model. Okay. So let's go ahead and kind of work on the head some more, or work on the skull, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and grab from here to the back of the head right there. I'm going to extrude and then move it out. Okay, take that one, merge that over. This neck right here, we'll start curving that over. Same thing with this one. Also thinking about kind of where these are going to like hook up on the rest of the body. I think I'll go ahead and hook this guy up to there. This one will go right here. Actually, I don't even have a second half of the body yet, so I need to actually deal with that when I get the other half. So we'll keep it separate for now. But that'll go there, that'll go there. This guy right here. Move that over there. Keep working with that one. And I'm just going to work my way around the skull. I'll do another extrusion. Come on. Why are we not doing this? The extrude tool is acting a little funky today. Let's just try to, okay, we'll just do it like that. All right, pull that over. And kind of wrap this around the skull a little bit more. Bridge that over. Something's acting really funky. Let me try that again. I wonder if it's maybe like the symmetry tool's messing this up. Let's turn off symmetry. Okay, that's more like what I expect. All right, I think I'm just gonna have to mirror this. This symmetry tool gets really weird. I don't understand your question.
Like, I'm saying should you model the head first, then the hair, or should the hair come with it?
Over the head first, because then the hair's gonna go on.
How would the hair fit on the head if I don't have the head?
Yeah, but I'm saying it, so you model the hair with the head, like,
It's not a part of it.
okay.
No.
Thank you.
When I was explaining this, what did I say I was going to do with the hair? Do you remember the word I used?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Does anyone else remember? Specifically, a hair cap. Yeah. It's like a wig.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
The
yeah.
hair is going to be a separate piece.
Okay.
It's like a Lego piece.
Yeah.
It's like Lego hair.
That works. See, I always think of Jimmy Neutron, but I like that too.
Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah. Jimmy Neutron's hair, it's just a hair cap.
Yeah, but that's not what I would think of.
I was thinking Lego.
Okay.
Doesn't Jimmy Neutron look like
Or like whatever. I was thinking Lego.
The original Jimmy Neutron movie was just a poly modeled hair.
She's all the way.
Huh. Actually, yeah, that makes sense.
She's love. She's totally hair.
Just a reminder, all of this is getting recorded right now. So we started off with you calling me old, and then now I'm hearing commentary about Jimmy Neutron. So
I look like my dad. I'm the age of my dad. That was nasty. I don't know if you make yourself old enough to look really hot, okay?
I think I might actually be the youngest, except for Breslauer. Yeah, I know.
Like art teacher?
Professor Williams
No.
is older than you?
I think so. Yeah. He just takes care of himself.
He always tries.
Yeah. One time I told my class how old I was, and I just heard some student in the back go, "Huh." I was like, "Thanks." Fail. All right. It was funny. I mean, it was legitimately, it was funny. We had a professor that retired a few years ago, and he had been here since he started working here in '87, and he just retired like 3 or 4 years ago. And I kind of would like joke on him a little bit about it, and because he would talk about how long he's been here, and I'd be like, I was born just a year before you got here. And he just looked at me. He's like, "You didn't have to say that, but you chose to." I'm like, yep, that's true. I made a choice.
No, you will make that choice.
Okay, let's grab these two.
With ears, you just like extensions.
I'll take this one, and then I'll grab this guy and bring him over. So we're kind of seeing this pattern forming as we're wrapping this around the skull. To me, it always reminded me of like a Corinthian Greek helmet. So I don't know if you guys remember that from art history, but they had the helmets that kind of would like wrap around where the ear was. This always kind of reminded me of that, this style of topology. So I don't know. I don't have a name for it, but it just kind of reminds me of that. So guess where the ear's gonna go? Right here. And the ear's also a really good spot to kind of hide like any like problematic topology. We don't have to tie it off super well. We can kind of put stuff in there. I'm gonna take this and we will bridge. I'll go across here a couple times, 1, 2, and 3. Bridge across. So we are going to be having some interviews with applicants for positions we're hiring for coming up soon. I don't know exactly when, but I'll announce them. But these will be for like animation faculty positions. So if you can, it'd be great to kind of show up for those talks. We may end up having it in like one of our classrooms though. We're not sure because we're going to be having interviews this Friday, like just initial interviews, but very, very quickly we'll have them coming up on campus. But once I find out, I'll let you know. But I think they're always interesting to see who's interesting to hire on. Plus, we like to get feedback from the students about the faculty that we might be hiring. Let's see, come on, nope. Multi-cut, there we go. And then we'll take this one and that one. There we go. All right. So we got part of a head.
You should be able to just model half.
Yes.
Flip it.
Because that's exactly what I'm doing. Because that mirror tool, as I have said before several times, it does not always work properly. So it wasn't giving me the response that I wanted when I was doing extrusions. So that's why I turned it off, and I was just kind of modeling on half of this.
Could you also do the quad draw with 1/2 and then duplicate once you're done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like if your drawing isn't like fully symmetrical, the face needs to be symmetrical and the lines out. Pretty easy way to do it.
Are you talking about the design isn't symmetrical, or
Like
if the
character
drawing?
sheet.
Well, that's why we would like to have character sheets that are pretty darn close, but you're right, it's probably not. So I would model, let's say, the prettier side.
Yeah.
Don't be a pretty sad baby girl.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make an ear. And apparently his ear is really far back, so I'm like completely off base on that one. Okay. So I need to move this over. I'm gonna have to do a lot of readjusting. I thought I was a little more on point, but his proportions are pretty far off apparently. Okay, so that is that. Flatten that out. But again, the topology is fine. Like, we just need to readjust this. Okay, what is this one that's getting really kind of wrapped up? Okay, this guy right here. I don't like what that's doing. So let's try, I'm gonna delete some of this and rebuild a little bit. So I need, right here, I need another edge to kind of give a little more curvature. Readjust this over. And then this face right here is getting really kind of twerked a little pretty good, so I'm gonna take that up, and I think I need another edge right here so that I can cut across to here. Okay, let's do 2, 3, 4. That's gonna be right behind his ear. I'm gonna pop that over to here, and then this guy I'm gonna take over to there. And then this one to this one I'm gonna go ahead and bridge. But I need to cut across here to kind of take care of that edge loop right here. So we'll take both of these vertexes since they aren't merged and merge them together. And then this guy right here, I also need to kind of come up with a place for him to bring it to come in. So I think I'm just gonna have a little try in the back of the head. And then bring those together. Okay, so that's a little bit better.
Are you not allowed to? Never mind, never mind.
What?
I was gonna ask something, but I kind of realized, like, I was gonna ask to like keep it a quad. Would you just still be able to like take another edge and just kind of like?
I might still be able to make it a quad, depending on how the ear comes out. Because I might have an extra one in there somewhere that I could like pop a extra vertex right here and deal with it then. So yeah, it's entirely possible that might happen. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw the ear with the quad draw tool. So I'm going to go back to Mesh Tools, Quad Draw. So I got that little loop right here. And then let's take a look, see how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty much in line. That's good. Okay, so with the vertexes, I want to go ahead and take them and pull them out to where they would be on the side of the head. So this was top of the ear. This is right here. This could be right there. Okay, let's see what that looks like in 3D. There we go, so that's kind of our outline for the ear. Bring that out, and then bring that over. And then bring that in so that kind of curls in. So keep in mind what I'm doing here. I'm building this as a separate piece. I'm going to attach it into the rest of the head. I'm not going to create the ear to where it's just like stuck to the side of the head like a pancake. It's its own separate structure, okay? So I find this actually works really well if you're doing like more anatomical ears, because then you can really like trace out that pattern of cartilage that's inside of that ear that's honestly to me like just really confusing to look at. But using the quad draw tool, you can kind of just trace it out, move it either in the Z side or X side, and kind of get it to the placement you need it to be. And here we're kind of building in that back of the ear. And then right back here, I'll put in a bridge. That's going to allow me to do a fill hole command. And then with that fill hole, yeah, multi-cut, I'll multi-cut, come on. From one side to the other and just quad off this section. And I'll go in on this side, extrude, push it back a little bit. Extrude again. Then bridge across, fill this, and then cut across to create your quads. And that's basically the ear. If you wanted to go and do further, like an ear canal, that'd be an extrusion that kind of goes into the side of the head.
If we go take like the ear canal into the head, would we just close it off like a
Mhm.
sag?
Yeah, just close it off. We don't have to go all the way through the head. You can make it just go in a little bit, and really you're kind of just looking deep enough to where like it kind of makes that shadow, so you're not seeing all the way down in there. Okay, got that. Bridge across to there. I'll take this piece, kind of bring it down a little bit, because like we don't have like a really sharp ridge on the front of our ear. It's pretty flat and just goes into the side of our head. And then I think from here to here, I'm gonna go ahead and bridge across there. So that's gonna finally join that in. Bridge that in right there. Actually, I might do a multi-cut here. Vertex. Let's do a little target weld. Maybe we'll go from here to here, and then right here to over there. Yeah, I think that feels a little bit better. And then I'll go start bridging across and just kind of fill this in the best way I can. Go do that one. Let's see. That one, I'll do grab this one. I'll kind of cut this piece across, cut this one up a little bit. So that'll give me a little bit of something extra to work with, and also kind of help contour this shape. And I go ahead and fill that hole, fill that hole. Then I can just kind of use my multi-cut and kind of figure out how I want to go across this space. Let's see this one right here. I got an extra, so I'm gonna go across and kind of run it back up, and then do my little corner to corner, and then corner back to the corner right there. So that takes care of the top, although I'm getting some cutting faces through here, so I'm gonna need to fix that in a second. And then I got this guy going across to there. This one is gonna go across to there. Okay. I think that'll work. Let me fix some of this topology. And then this, we have an n-gon kind of sitting right here. So I'll go ahead and kind of, well, let's see, maybe I'll do, yeah, I think I'll do that. I think that's a better shape. Just kind of check out and see if we got any other issues. I think it works. Okay, so that'll be the ear. Why are you? I'll turn off X-ray. Okay, there we go. So any questions on what we gotten so far? Clear as mud?
So, did you just do like extrusions for like brows and facial hair? Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe like attached, not separate.
These would be separate. So the eyebrows would be separate,
Okay.
hair would be separate. Eyelashes I would make separate
Oh.
if you wanted to do eyelashes.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and throw in a eyeball. Okay, so Gene's got a pretty round eye. Like it fits pretty well with a spherical shape, but some of you guys are not gonna have that. So let's talk about that. So for modeling the eye, it's gonna be kind of depend on like what your style is. For Gene, I'm going to go and grab where the pupil is going to be. Let's shrink that. They have like slightly elongated pupils, a little cat-like, but yeah, it's more like a pen mark. And what I want to do is extrude inward, and then extrude again, and scale that out, extrude again, and then push that back. So that's going to create like a little lip right here. Now for characters, they're going to have different types of eyes. Like flat eyes, or, well, really, maybe flat eyes are kind of weirdly shaped eyes, elongated eyes. The way that we're going to be rigging our eyes is we're going to essentially have a joint inside of the eyeball, okay? And we want to be able to rotate that joint, and that's going to rotate the eye in every direction that we're going to be looking. Now, with a flat eye like that, that's not going to work because that's going to pop right out of the socket, okay? So we understand that? Okay, so we do not want an eye that's just going to be flat. We can create the flat shape though, and we will be able to rotate it to where it doesn't break out of the skull. But what we'll need to do is we will need to take the eye structure that has not been flattened yet. We will want to freeze transformations, delete history, and I'm going to group it to itself, Control G. And then I'm going to center the pivot within the group. Okay, right now I have the group selected. Okay. So eye group. And this is the eye that we're working with. Now, I'm not going to flatten the geometry. So I'm not going to take this and just flatten that. What I can do, however, is let me go and take this and combine that mesh. Let me do this again to make it a little bit simpler visually for y'all. Let's center that pivot. Okay. Get rid of that. So what I need to do if I want to have this eye flattened is I'm going to actually take the eye group and apply a transformation to it. Okay. So I'm going to go and flatten it. Let's say it has more like Tom and Jerry eyes, where they're just really like thin and elongated. And then I can take that eye group, and with that transformation added, I've scaled it on both the Y and Z axis, but the eyeball inside of that group, I can rotate. And since I'm rotating it within this constrained group, it keeps the transformation. So it's like a filter. Okay? So this is a really simple way to kind of get that effect. Yeah.
Would it also be able, like, would you still be able to, like, let's say you're animating with these characters, with the rigs, right? So if I wanted to get it from like a point of view where you're seeing through the character's eyes, would you still be able to like plug a camera in through there?
You would probably do a different type of head. You're not going to be able to fit a camera. I mean, you can fit a camera in the head, but you would like delete the eyeballs. Or you would honestly do a completely different thing where you would attach the camera like a GoPro, and then you might put like an eye-shaped cutout mask over the camera to where you only see like the cutouts for the eyes. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. So the answer is yes and no, I guess. This wouldn't have any effect on the way you're describing.
Okay.
Does that make sense on what I'm describing? Okay. Okay. So if you have cartoony eyes that are really heavily deformed, let's say if someone's doing like, I don't know, Sailor Moon, whose eyeballs would take up, 3/4 of her skull space,
Nice.
then this would be the option for you. For Gene, his eyes are pretty round, so I don't necessarily need to do that. Okay. Any other questions on this approach?
For the eyeball, would you rather us keep the poly model with poly count, or would you want us to lower the poly count of the sphere in any way?
This is fine. Yeah, this sphere's fine. We're not breaking the bank with anything right now. Now, if we were like ZBrushing it and we had like a 5 million poly model for the eye, then yeah, we need to bring it down. Okay. So with the eyeball kind of put into the skull, I'm going to go ahead and kind of make the eye match, or the lid match the eyeball a little bit better. Move that in a little bit. I don't really want to see any part of the inside of the skull. So I'm gonna go and kind of wrap this around. Okay, something like that. And then I can go and take this edge right here, extrude it, and I'm going to extrude it back like that. Extrude it again like that, and we'll move that back. Kind of flatten that off, extrude it back. And then I will cap this off with a face, and we can quad that out. Let's see. There we go. So we have a eye sac. Now for the eyeball itself, I want to make sure we have plenty of edge looping for the brows and the eyelids to move around. I'm going to throw in a few more right through here. And then we can kind of shape the eyelid a little bit. And then that little edge loop. I'm going to pull that back a little bit more. Pull that over so it doesn't cut through. There we go. Now once I start getting enough topology on here, I can kind of start transitioning away from so much of the modeling technique and kind of over to like soft sculpting to kind of like keep working on like his facial shape and, you know, all of that, because he is a, you know, kind of a chubby kid, so I'll make sure and get that cute chubby roundness kind of in here. Okay, and then the mouth, same idea. Doesn't have to be a big space or anything, just enough to kind of fit teeth into. And then I'll curl it down a little bit into an esophagus. Something like that. Let's see. Nope, not what I was trying to do. Come on, bridge, bridge. There we go. All right, then I can do the fill hole and do multi-cut. All right, and then that'll be the mouse sack. This looks like the handyman. I think this has transitioned into what's his name? Mac? What's his name? What is his name? I don't. Nobody knows. Is it Manny? Okay. Handy Manny. That makes more sense. Maybe that's who Gene's real father is. You know, like King of the Hill theories of who Bobby's real dad is. It's really Bill Dauterive. And that's why he's so obsessed with Peggy, because that's his son. You guys have heard that, right? So Hank has no idea. Oh, yeah, definitely Hank is as far as. No way in heck, like, Peggy's gonna cheat on her husband, but there's some weird similarities between Bobby and Bill Dauterive. Okay. All right, let's make some teeth. And I'll be dentists. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a cube. All right, I need a insert edge loop tool. There we go, right here. I like this. I don't use this tool very often, but the reason why I would use it is because it has a multiple edge loop option in here. And I can do, let's say, 20 edge loops. And it just drops them in there, equidistant from each other. So pretty useful. So this will be part of the gums. I'm gonna grab those two top edges here. And I'll go over to bevel. And I wanna round off this top. Kind of bring that down so we got a little softer gums. And honestly, I'm gonna just cut off the caps. No one's gonna see it. Probably no one's gonna see the bottom either. And then just going to make a tooth. Excuse me? What?
No, it's a joke. I said it was one huge tooth.
I mean, that's what I've done before, right? Just do like a big bar across the mouth as like a tooth. Okay, so I'm gonna do a multi-cut right here and right here. Pull both of these down a little bit. And then we'll pull 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like a house. Then we'll kind of flatten that out. Bring it over. Embed it in there. And I'm going to do a multi-cut on both sides. So if this thing smooths out, you see it kind of rounds off. And we'll do one little multi-cut right there as well on the bottom. Okay, that's close enough. So shrink that a little bit. Bring those together. Okay, so those are going to be the gums. Bring that up a little bit more. I'm going to combine all of this together, and I'm going to need to kind of curve it into an arc to fit as a lower denture. Then I'll duplicate it, roll it over, and that'll be a top denture. Okay? So let's go ahead and go over to deform, and you'll see an option here for non-linear deform. I'm going to go click on bend. And you'll see this little curve pop up. Now, if I go over to my channel box down to the bottom of that curve, you'll see where it says inputs. You'll say bend 1, envelope, curvature, low bound, high bound. What we're paying attention to is going to be curvature. Click it, middle mouse drag, and you'll see we get kind of a bar that kind of curves off to the side. And so if we want it to be a full 180 degree bend, it's actually going to be a curvature of 90 because we're doing 90 degrees on one half, 90 degrees on the other half. Okay? But that's not the direction I want it to curve. So if I turn this, you'll see how it curves now kind of like in a U. If I rotate it this way, now it curves it in the other direction. So let's change a couple of parameters here. If you go down to the low bound and the high bound, it says -1, 1. These are referring to essentially the directions. Low bound can be this direction, high bound can be this direction. So if I take my low bound, I can turn that off to where it's only curving on one side, or I can do it on both, or I can do it on the other side. If you want to curve it more, so I have 360 degrees, we got that right there. Now, here's the fun thing. These are animatable. So if you wanted to have something kind of roll up on itself, you could do that. They also work depending on position. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, somewhere right about there. All right, I'm gonna go and take this piece, I'm gonna duplicate it. That's gonna be my lower teeth. I need something that has a slightly smaller so it fits inside. So actually these might be the lower teeth then. Duplicate this. There you go, we got teeth. Very cool, huh? Okay, there are other bend deformers. So just for funsies, we go over to Flare. We can have controlled flare options. With objects. So if you needed to, for whatever reason, create a flare, we can do that. Again, we can also animate that. Something that I think is kind of interesting is if you're trying to do like a bird swallowing like a really big object, you could have like a bend or a flare deformer, bend deformer, something to kind of get it to where you have this bulge that like goes down their neck, and you can animate that and travel it all the way down. We could also do a sine wave deformer. And that's going to assign a mathematical sine wave to it. I use this for a flying dragon rig where I wanted the dragon to kind of like undulate up and down like a Chinese dragon. And I didn't really want to animate all that because that's a lot. So I just kind of did essentially this form. And it worked. I had him just kind of keep going. You could also use that for a snake rig. If you wanted the snake to go back and forth.
That makes me also think like
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that too. So there's options in here. Let's see, squash. Could use that to kind of animate a squash and a stretch. I'd use this for a slinky rig. And so we had this slinky type character who would kind of flip up and over, and then basically it would just keep going over and over itself when we use this squash and stretch portion to get him to kind of like pop up and over, and then also kind of mix that in with part of a sine wave and the curve to kind of get him to have a controllable movement. So I could get him to kind of arc wherever I wanted to get him to arc. So I could get at least like 2 flips out of him before I had to like reset the rig. But it honestly made things a heck of a lot easier. We also have a twist rig. So if you were trying to do things like braided hair, twisted hair, this could be kind of useful for you. So yeah, you can kind of do a few different things. I guess if you also wanted to do like pasta noodles, that would work really well too. And then we also have a wave deform. Which kind of maybe allows you to have like, I don't know, maybe like cords kind of like laying on top of objects you can kind of control that way. Or like you're dragging things around and you want them to not cut through objects, you could have like a little deformer there. So when the object gets closer to it, it automatically goes over. Maybe like a train, that could also be useful. Okay. All right, what else do we need to have in a mouth? Tongue. Tongues are useful. Except for when they get you in trouble. All right, let's go and take a multi-cut here, multi-cut right in the middle. Pull that out a little bit. I'll pull these two together. Kind of bring that in. And then there's that little like kind of divot some of us might have on the top of our tongue. So I kind of want to pull that down too. Right here. Then I'll put 2 little edges up here. I'm gonna bring that up a little bit too. And for the kind of just go really quickly, a little more organic looking, I'm just gonna go and smooth it. Something like that. And there we go. So all of that, I'm gonna group it, modify center pivot. Bring all that down, make it a little smaller, fit it into his mouth. Put it back behind the lips, right here. And there we go. Now, teeth are a little narrow. You can see how they're kind of like not really cutting across. So I'm gonna go and stretch them out. And I'm gonna go and take this corner of the mouth. I'm just gonna kind of pull it down just a little bit.
Just bring your teeth up.
You mean pull his teeth into a smiling position?
Well,
I mean, I could.
I was
I'm just giving him more of like a neutral expression though. Because we will be doing sculpted expressions, the balloon shapes on his face. So, like, I mean, his neutral position probably is more of a smile, but. All right. I do want to bring the lips together, actually, a little bit closer together, but I don't want to be like accidentally selecting the top lips. So what I want to do is grab my move tool, go into my tool settings, go into soft select, and click on fall off mode and change that back over to surface. So now it's not going to be selecting the top lip. Okay, kind of something like that. So I'm going to take a look at just general proportions, see if there's anything I need to kind of fix or change before I do the mirror. I'll make sure and take all of this. So it's kind of coming over here. Why is it coming over there? What am I grabbing? Ah, look at that. I had two little vertexes that weren't connected. So that'd be good to catch. All right, merge the center. Okay, get rid of that one, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of center that a little bit better. Check it back on the inside. And let's put that right back on the center line. Okay. Okay. We'll start connecting some of these vertexes that will mirror them over, and we'll have a full body in a second. So do merge the center, and just start connecting this across. I have one extra right here and then one extra over here. So I need to connect this in somehow. So I think I could take this one, cut up, over, back to the neck, and then that'll just go across and back down. And then this one, we'll do the same thing, but on the neck itself. And then just merge them together. Cool. All right, mirror it across, see if everything came together. I'm paying attention to anything in the center line that may have gotten merged that doesn't need to get merged. So like that's coming down a lot lower than I kind of would like. You also kind of know you may have like a little bit of like butt head syndrome.
I mean, isn't it like kind of you're supposed to like have like a little bit of space between where your eyebrow?
Yeah, but you don't have something that looks like a horse or a sword hit you right in the forehead. So he's I mean, as a cartoon, he should be pretty smooth. So kind of look at all of that. I want to make sure also none of my edge loops, especially going down the back of the head, are too close together because that'll cause some faceting issues. Yeah, I think that works. Any areas was kind of like pulling up a little bit, I'm just kind of like evening it out across. Check out the groin area, see if there's anything else going on in there. The belly looks good. These two are a little close right here, so I'm gonna pull them apart. And these two, I'm gonna pull those apart. Okay. That's not bad. It kind of sort of looks like Gene a little bit. A little bit. All right, I'm gonna go and duplicate the eye. So, grouped it to itself, and then duplicate special with a -1. And there we go. All right, any questions so far? How are we feeling about this approach? Why? Okay, so it gives you the big feelings. Let's talk about those big feelings.
So I wrote this down, but I can't find where I wrote this down. When you were adjusting your soft select, what was it again?
B.
I know B, but like
Tool settings.
And you hold it down and you scroll.
I don't even scroll. I just click and drag.
Well, yeah, I have to like.
That's all I'm used to.
Down to the scroll wheel.
Oh.
Like you don't scroll it, but click on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not actually scrolling anything. I'm just click and dragging. Yeah.
This actually seems easier, like it seems more intuitive to me,
Okay.
like mapping out the contours of the face. so I'll probably try to stick to this sort of
Well,
approach.
so with this specific technique, though, I want all of you to be doing this technique. I know some of you guys have done box modeling for faces. That's cool. You need to do this approach, though. I want you to try this. So if you don't like it, that's fine. After this project, you never have to model this again. But I want you to at least try it once. Because, like turnips, maybe you'll find out you like them. Or maybe not.
Maybe just find out you like it.
I have a question.
Okay?
So it's not necessarily related to what you just taught us, but is there, I know you wanted us to do like a T pose instead of an A pose.
Okay, hair. So let's restart this right here. So for his hair, I'm going to go and take a quad draw tool again, but this time I want to go ahead and make the body the live surface that the quad draw is going to attach to. So I'm going to click on this little magnet next to where it says no live surface. That's going to make whatever I have selected a live surface. When I click it, you'll notice I can't click on the body anymore. That's fine. That's exactly what we want. But now if I go over to Mesh Tools, Quad Draw, I can draw directly on the body. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of outline where his wig is going to go. So he's got about halfway down. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay, so we'll kind of do it like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just create essentially a skull cap. So this approach right here, what we're doing is really similar to the process of repolishization. So let's say if I have a complex sculpt that I have done in ZBrush and I need to rig it for Maya, it's probably not going to have great topology coming out of ZBrush. ZBrush is made for sculpting, it's not made for modeling. And what I can do is take that sculpt in and rebuild a surface for the model to live on, or for the rig to be built on. I can also have this model as something I can transfer maps onto, kind of like normal maps, color maps, all the texturing you kind of need. And then depending on how complex the rig is, or the model is, I can use this more simplified version as a proxy mesh, meaning it's a simple mesh that I can use to basically create the rig for that will drive the more complex mesh, okay? So let's say like I'm animating Godzilla, okay? And so Godzilla has a crap ton of sculpted features, sculpted details. So he's got like gills and scales and horns and all this other stuff. And so the proxy, i.e. this simplified mesh, this low poly, low resolution mesh, is easier for me to animate. And I can work with that. But it's not something that I can bring in like a really high poly mesh into Maya for. So I can use this to create those animation keys once that rig is finished. And then we could transfer that animation over to a complex fully sculpted Godzilla. And it may be that they're not even finished with sculpting Godzilla, and so you end up just getting a proxy mesh or a proxy rig to work with, so that you have something to do in the pipeline before the modelers are even finished with Godzilla at that point. Now with quad draw, it's really kind of nice because we can really quickly throw faces down. But you'll see it's not really like capturing the surface very well because it's just a really simple mesh. If I throw in more edges, you'll notice that it starts kind of following that shape a little bit more closely. So it might speed you up to kind of do like a big face and then throw in some edges that help you kind of capture a little bit more detail. Smooth that out, smooth that out. I'm just holding down shift to smooth it, and it'll relax the topology. So I got a lot of like little detail up in here, and I don't really need to have that all going together. So I'm gonna take like this, so I don't need to run all of this up into the top of the head. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take this loop, run it into itself. I'll take these two, and then I'll have a quad eventually in there. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to snap them together. That'll get rid of them. That's easy. And I can take this one, go across, snap that over. A little try right here. Smooth it out, relax it. Then we'll put this one, and put two tries here and here. Run an edge across, and now we got two quads. Hey look, bald spot. Here, here, and there we go. Okay, so that's going to be the initial form for his hair. And then I'm going to go and extrude it out. So you'll see there we got a little extrusion on there. Now, if you have some more complex hair or styles to the hair, we might try to do something like doing a Boolean and then a retopologization, automatic retopologization. So we'll say if we have a ponytail. Oh, turn that off. We don't need this to be a magnet anymore. off. There we go. For a second there, I thought I was going to do like a Sailor Moon thing where you have like the giant barbell or, you know, giant mouse ear things. Okay, so we'll give, we gotta have two of these, come on. And two big old ponytails on the side of his head. All right, so I'm gonna take these two pieces, we will baleen them together. These two, I'm gonna baleen these together, baleen those together. And then baleen all of these together. I'm gonna go ahead and delete history on here, which, well, before I do that, by the way, there is a live history to this where if you are not happy with where it baleened, you can go and edit it. So before you delete history, make sure you're happy with what you got. But then you'll see, if you click on the result, you'll see where it actually connects in. Okay. And that works for the addition, subtraction, and intersection Boolean types. Okay, so you can go through and actually work with all of those. And they are also animatable too. So if you wanted to animate a Boolean, you can do that. Anyway, so let's say I want to go and delete this history, delete by type, history, and I got really crappy topology. Like, Professor Bryson would not appreciate this, would he? Right. Answer is no on that. Everyone shake your head. Yeah, so we need to fix this. So what we could do is, since it's hair, we could go in and do a retopologize.
To apologize for that.
What?
I said to apologize for that topology.
Yeah. So let me try that again. Delete all by type, history. Let's duplicate this just to make sure we don't. I'm going to save this in case I crash. I got to clean up real quick. So I'm going to do a mesh cleanup. Just to make sure we're cleaning up what we need to clean up. Remove lamina, non-manifolds, apply. Okay, close.